Welcome to Destined II Soar, a television news magazine that is dedicated to showcasing businesses, entrepreneurs, and organizations that are making a tremendous difference in our community. I am your host, Angelia Bills, and I am President and CEO of Eagle Productions, LLC, a full-service marketing firm. Joining me today is someone who I would like to present to some and introduce to others. A woman who is one of the most successful entrepreneurs of our time, living in the St. Louis area. For years, she has been a quiet phenomenon and force to be reckoned with in both St. Louis, nationally, and internationally on the business scene. She is the founder of Build-A-Bear Workshop, the CEO of and president of Clark Fox Foundation, and the chief inspirator of the Delmar Divine. Please join me in welcoming none other than Miss Maxine Clark. Welcome, Maxine.
Thank
How
you.
are you?
I'm glad to be here.
I am glad to have you here. This is so exciting for me. You know, you're just an awesome entrepreneur, and you know, most times you don't hear about a lot of female entrepreneurs. You know,
That's
you don't hear our stories as much as we hear.
We're too busy.
Exactly. We're busy. We're working, you know, but we hear so much about male entrepreneurs. But you are not only an entrepreneur, but a founder of a multi-million-dollar idea. So can you kind of elaborate on what brought you the idea of Build-A-Bear? What brought you to that point?
Well, there's so many things that get you to, you know, a go, so to speak.
Yes.
You know, your childhood experiences, your work experiences, but really in the mid-90s when I was the president of Payless Shoe Source, I could see that retailing was going to change. Technology was coming in. And I also knew that children deserved to have a really good experience at the point of sale.
Yes.
And most experiences were denigrated, not making it more fun for kids. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but one day I was out with my best friend, Katie. She was only 10 years old at the time, and we were looking for Beanie Babies. And when those were so popular, and we couldn't find the one she wanted, she just declared, like a child would, these are so easy, we could make these. And I had this Willy Wonka moment in my head that said, I could see this. I could see it in the mall right around the corner from our house. I could see this across the country. And about 9 months later, we opened our first store at the St. Louis Galleria, which is still there today.
That is awesome. And you are truly a woman of vision, you know, to just take the idea of, you know, just to look from Beanie Babies to just the need for a customizable toy.
Yeah, I think that what was happening at the time was, you know, technology was coming on so fast, high tech, and we needed to make sure there was things that were high touch.
Yes.
And Build-A-Bear is definitely a high touch experience. But I knew from my own life experience, I love to go on field trips. I love my own stuffed animal. I wish I'd never lost him. So all these things kind of came into my creation. But I've been a creator, you know, for a long time, and I think that's one of the things that I was always imaginative. I always had a wild imagination, and I think that we have to make sure that all children grow up with as wide imagination as we can possibly give them.
I agree. And, you know, having that experience of mass producing, you know, with Payless, you know, being the CEO and understanding that on a major scale, I'm sure that translated well.
Yes,
into Build-A-Bear.
It certainly did. I knew how to, you know, where to go to manufacture things. I knew how logistics. I learned a lot of things, but I didn't know everything because working for the May department stores, which owned Payless, and working for them my whole career, they had people that did all these things. So I didn't know how much I knew from osmosis. And I could, but I also could call people that were experts and ask them if I didn't know something. And my strength really was I knew what I didn't know, so I could go to people and bring those people on the team that could excel and help us all grow the business. I didn't have to do everything.
Wow. And you know, I feel like I'm in a training course talking to you, you know, because as an entrepreneur, sometimes we feel like we have to do everything ourselves.
Right.
You know, but that's kind of the Achilles heel when you're trying to grow because you are only one person and you can only do so much.
One secret to our success was that our first board of directors were children. Ages about 5 to 12, and they were great. And they gave us a lot of insight into what they thought would sell. We would show them products that were in development. They'd say, nah, oh yeah, that'll be great. And they were right. And they didn't have any preconceived notions. Nobody had ever created a store where you could make your own stuffed animals. So they were able to give us just pure, unadulterated you know, ideas, and they were just right on target.
Yes, it reminds me of the scripture that says, and a little child shall lead them. You know, and out of the mouth of babes, you know, it's amazing because they are your target market. You know, they are the target audience, and that's the key to it. Entrepreneurship is knowing your target market and not trying to, you know, just market to the masses, but know who your audience is. So that's genius in itself. So how long did it take for Build-A-Bear to become successful?
It was actually successful from the moment we opened the doors. In fact, we had a party on a Sunday night that we opened for just people that I knew and our vendors and suppliers. And the next morning, when I came to open the store, Monday morning, there was a line out the door waiting to get in. People had kept their kids home from school to come to Build-A-Bear because they wanted them to be the first, you know, the part of the story. And kids had been seeing the sign as they passed by that it was opening, and it was obviously when we opened the doors, they could see how creative and fun it was going to be, and they wanted to come in. So that was a pretty good sign. We knew, you know, the store was profitable right away, but you have to put those profits back in to open up other stores.
Right.
But we knew we had a winner right from the first day.
That is awesome and amazing. So did you start off with one store, or did you start off?
Yeah, we had one
multiple?
store here in St. Louis, and then we had a plan for hundreds of stores, but you know that we executed. The next two stores were store 2 was in Kansas City, store 3 and 4 were in Chicago. That was year 2. That gave us a good start, and from there it was all hands on deck, opening up stores all around the country because all of the landlords wanted us to be there, and we were getting customers who were visiting those other stores and wanted stores in their own neighborhood. So we grew pretty quickly, and by the time we were a public company in 2004, we had about 150 stores, doing about $300 million. Was really good.
That is amazing. More than really good. That is awesome.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah, so that is just an amazing story, and I'm sure you all started with a business plan before you opened everything.
Definitely. I'm a planner, and I learned that working for the May department stores. But you know, it's not that you have to live with that plan every day. But it's a guideline, and it really did come true. In fact, so specific was I that the teddy bear was invented in 1902, and in 2002 I intended to open up our 100th store, and I wanted it to be in Roosevelt Field Mall in New York, which is Teddy Roosevelt was the person who made popular the teddy bear. So it all worked out. You know, it was a very much a good karma story, and all of the landlords and the shopping centers across the country were our partners also. They wanted us to be successful. They loved that we kept customers in the mall such a long time. So it was really a giant hug, not just for the young person who was making the teddy bear or the grandparent that was bringing them, but for our landlords who we wanted also to help be successful. They were already successful, but they helped us even be more successful.
I love it. And the thing I like most about the Build-A-Bear stores is that they're fun.
Yes.
They're fun to shop in. They're fun to go and pick out the little outfits and things like that. And I know that you're coming up on your 25th anniversary this year. So do you have anything special planned for that?
Well, there's lots of activities that have been going on since the start of the year. On the 25th of every month, we release an animal from the archives. So this month, it was our floppy kitty, which was very, very popular in its heyday, inspired by one of our young cub advisors who told me the color we originally showed her was wrong, and that it was too orangey, looked too much like macaroni and cheese, and you don't eat your cat, she said. So we really were, that's this week. But we have all kinds of activities going on. And then in October, October 22nd, 2022 will be our 25th anniversary celebration. But the stores are all been doing things all year long, and it'll continue even into next year because there's so much to celebrate.
Wow, you have done so much in 25 years with that company. That is just,
it went by in a flash.
That is amazing, and I just congratulate you for that, because that is an awesome feat for a woman to do. And
well, I got it to a certain part, but another woman is taking it to the next level.
And that's great. So you're just passing it on, you know. So I think that is just awesome, and so I have a question for you about that. When it comes to female entrepreneurs starting out, what advice would you give us?
Oh, that's a hard one because every situation is different. But I would say that my experience really helped me. Working for a big company and running a big business, that people could not ignore that. Even though still when I went to get loans for the business, it was hard. My husband had to co-sign with me no matter what. So, but I didn't care. That wasn't going to get in my way. I cared, but I figured I could fix that later. I just need to keep this going. So I would say, you know, make sure that you're building your network and that your network is there to support you, and make sure that you're taking their advice for what it's worth. Sometimes it's good advice, sometimes it's just caution, but listen and use that against the knowledge and experience that you have. I tell most young people, go out and get experience in the field you want to start your business in, because that way you'll see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you'll know what to do and what not to do. And so that's also a good way when you observe other leaders. But it's hard because I was 48 years old when I started Build-A-Bear, not 22 years old. So I had a different level of experience that I could pull from. And I don't think I would never discourage a young person from going into their own business. But I didn't think about being an entrepreneur. Actually, I was very entrepreneurial working for a large company. So you can be an entrepreneur within somebody else's business. Pick the right business and the right company, and you can make a huge contribution like I did. I did not intend to go as far as I did in that company. I actually was on my way to law school and had to go to work to pay for law school, and took a leave of absence, and I'm still on that leave of absence today. But there's so many things you can do in your lifetime, and you're going to live. Young people are going to live so much longer that they can have many careers. So there's lots of opportunities to look forward to.
I agree, and I did not know that you were 48 when you started your business, and that's special to me because I was 48 when I started Eagle Productions. So just to let people know.
Look at either.
Yeah, right. We don't. yes, double compliment for both of us. Right. Yes, and because I think sometimes people think when they get to a certain age, they feel like it's too late, or
actually it's the perfect timing.
It is the perfect time because you have the experience,
right? And you also have some of your life issues, children, things like that behind you. You know who you have a better idea of who you are and what you want to be, and you may have more resources to put against a business as well.
Yes, I agree. And I want to take a little turn with it because a lot of times I think about Maslow's theory of hierarchy, and you get to a point where you're at the self-actualization stage of, okay, you've made it to the top, you've become successful. And what I love about you is that you knew that it was time to give back.
Yes.
So while you created Build-A-Bear, you also created the Clark Fox Foundation. So tell us about when you started that and
we actually started it in 2004 when Build-A-Bear went public. We were able to put some of the proceeds from the sale of our share of the company into the bank and save it for the future. But when I always had ideas of what we could do to invest in St. Louis, I didn't have any specific plan other than giving a lot to education and a lot to healthcare and some in community development. But we also wanted to do something transformational. But you can't know what that is until it stares you in the face. Right. And luckily, I was able to find a project like that when we were working on our KIPP school in the West End. I came around the corner one day and found this incredible building that was for sale. And I had that other Willy Wonka moment, although not quite as Willy Wonka-ish, of what could we do with this building? Could we turn it into a cortex for nonprofits? How big is it? I had no idea, really. And that day, I made another decision, sort of at the spur of the moment, to make a change for St. Louis and to make an investment in the north of Delmar corridor.
And, in the St. Louis community, really appreciate what you and your husband does for our community, especially in the area of education and, education in the city of St. Louis, because it is such a need.
Yes, that's hard. And we invest in people who I think know what they're doing, but at the same time, it's a complicated problem that's been built over decades. It's not that people aren't working hard or there aren't good teachers. It's just the complexity of St. Louis, the fragmentation of St. Louis also affects our schools. But we're working hard in bringing these organizations together at the Delmar Divine that we think can work on these problems and fix them. We can't do it, but people working together, and that was the idea, to bring multiple organizations together in the same space so that by accident they might meet in the elevator and say, oh, I'm working on this, can you help? And oh yeah, let's get together,
Yes.
and they can get to the solutions
Yes.
faster and bring community into those discussions.
I love it, the collaboration aspect of it, and
Yes.
iron sharpening iron, you know, that when everyone's in that same space of nonprofit and social change, great things happen.
Yes.
So,
And
yeah.
when they don't have obstacles, like we have good meeting spaces, we have
Yes.
good technology in the building.
Yes.
You can easily get to somebody else's office. You just have to, you don't have to an hour car
Right,
ride or anything
right.
like that. It's really easy, and we can bring other people together as they develop whatever their strategies are. So we're really seeing that happen already, and I know it's going to get better with time.
That is great. And you mentioned, so we've already started talking about the Delmar Divine, and I just love the story of how you created that vision. If you could just tell us briefly about the epiphany that you had, and where it is now and where is it going.
Well, I'm always learning from others, and I think that I had a lot of good experiences at Cortex, which was for-profit companies. And literally, I thought, well, why don't we do this for nonprofit organizations? But I didn't have a plan for that until that day that I drove around the corner and saw the for sale sign, and I could see it was big. I didn't know that it was 500,000 square feet
Yes.
or 10 buildings worth cut and pasted together over 100 years, but I did know that it was a big building, and I thought, this would be perfect. It's right on the north side of Delmar. It's an eyesore. It could be made to be lovely again, and we
Yes.
could turn it into a multi-use project. Offices for nonprofits, some small amount of retail and service, and also apartments, affordable apartments for young people, because the neighborhood really could use some infusion of new young people moving in who want to also help make St. Louis a better place.
Yes, yes, and it is huge. I drove past before, and I was like, wow, this building is larger than, we...
It looks larger than it what did look before, because
Yes.
it's bright and cheery. It's smiling
Yes,
again.
it is.
And
Yes,
also
it
having
is.
so many, the apartments are being rented now, and people are starting to move in next week. And I think that's going to change a lot too, because they're teachers, nurses, social workers, public health, public safety. There's also a certain amount of really affordable, low-income housing in there. We wanted it to be mixed income, because we believe that the more you bring people together to live together and work together, the more we'll get to the answers that we need to make St. Louis an exciting city again.
I agree. And the Delmar Divine case reads like a case study from WashU's Brown School of Social Work. When I think about, like you said, the mixed income communities, helping those who don't make as much move up, and helping those who are making more integrate with the community. So, I think that is awesome. And, and of course we know the Delmar Divide, which was, something that has happened in St. Louis for many years. So you're turning that line into something magnificent. You're turning it into something where it's not a boundary, but it's
No, it's a bridge to the other side, really, where people can either use the bank or use the pharmacy, or come to the restaurant that'll open in the spring, or the Edward Jones office, or come to meet with some of our nonprofits. We have many, many volunteers that live in the neighborhood and come from around the area that want to work and show up for the community, and that's been also an amazing experience to meet so many new people that I never knew before, that just say, what can I do to help? And I think St. Louis is full with people like that, but there may not be spaces where they feel as comfortable going. Like Cortex works for some, and the Delmar Divine will work for others, and there's other buildings in North St. Louis where people will also, now I hope that it's copied all over the country, but particularly in other parts of St. Louis. And I've been speaking to many, many people who are working on projects like this, whether it's a renovation to create the Gospel Hall of Fame, or it's a project, the Restore project in Delwood that's being worked on. I'm behind all those, helping cheer on those. They both happen to be women, developers working on these projects.
Yes, well, thank you for all that you do for the community. Thank you for brightening up the Delmar Street. I mean, it was a massive project. How much was that?
That's probably around close to 80, 90 million, somewhere around there. Now we haven't added it all up yet, but it was more than it was supposed to be because of COVID.
Yes.
But it's an investment that we will reap the benefits of for St. Louis, because it shows it can be done. And we also took a historic building, and we didn't trash it. We actually reimagined it. And there's so many wonderful buildings in St. Louis that we could do that with.
That is true, because they don't make buildings like they used to.
No, they don't.
So the architecture, the sturdiness of the buildings are amazing. It's just a matter of
These were mostly
restoring.
built, even though the first hospital was built in 1904, most of the buildings were built in the 50s and 60s, mid-century. So they're kind of neutral.
Yes.
And so we can really make them, pop.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for
You're
all that
welcome.
you do for the community. And for more information about you, the Clark Fox Foundation, how would someone get in touch with you?
Well, they can email me at maxine@clark-fox.com, and I'm always responsive.
Yes.
But also check us out at the delmardivine.com
Okay.
and the clarkfoxstl.com.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for stopping in.
You're welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thanks for having me.
Sure.